Hello everyone. So, I will be talking about a very interesting topic. It is actually very interesting to me personally because it simplifies the concept in a very different way. Because generally, when you think of, let's say, any complex structured product, you tend to think of that it is using some complex model to price it. But when you break apart the structure, you realize that it's very simple. And mostly, what happens when people try to learn new structures, for example, maybe you are pricing the structure in a bank where you're working, and usually you have some standard tools for it, you have some model for it. You think it's kind of like a black box. You don't know how it is working, but you trust the price that this somebody told you that this is the way to price it, and you price it. Fine. Now, if the model is not working, how do you know the price is correct? So that's today's topic. Issuer callability. Pretty standard. We will go from bottom to top. First, talk about swaps, volatility, floating rates, fixed rates, and then issuer callability. So, but first, let's define the problem. Define the problem. To keep it very simple, I have a structured product which is, let's say, 5-year swap where I am paying a fixed coupon, and fixed coupon can be contingent, or you can say conditional conditional on some event, some equity condition. Okay, so that's entirely possible. Okay, but the beauty is that this structure is callable, which means that, let's say, after 2 years, I can call the structure, or I can make it non-call. So either I can call the structure, or I can like don't call the structure. But for simplistic terms, I'm just keeping that I have only one chance at 2 years to decide whether to call the structure or not call the structure. Okay, so this thing, as you can notice, it's an option, right? Because if I'm issuing the structure and the rates are very low, but I'm still paying a very high coupon, I will call the structure. I don't want to pay a high coupon. Yeah, it's night time in Hong Kong, so yeah. Okay. Then, okay, where was I? Forgot. Yeah, I will call the structure or I will not call the structure. And just to keep it simple, make it only callable at 2 years. This structure is pretty standard actually, which is priced, and how it all relates to like fixed rate, floating rate, swap, volatility. Actually, to be fair, it should not be swaps, it should have been swaptions. I forgot. Okay, so anyway, generally, whenever you price any option, you have something called as volatility, right? Now, this is the problem. Let's not think about it for now. We will take a side tour, which is not side tour to volatility. Volatility is nothing but your mean deviation or deviation from mean. I just tend to think of it as if some asset is here, this is the volatility, how much it can move in either direction equally. Now, why do we need to measure this? Because optionality is all about, if you know the volatility, how volatile the underlying is, you can basically price any option. So this is the most important input in pricing any option. If assuming the rates are zero, dividend is zero, so only thing remaining is your volatility. So since we will evaluate some sort of option, we know that this is some sort of an option. So technically, this will require volatility. And in interest rates world, because we are talking about rates, right? When I would not want to pay a coupon when the rates are very low. When the rates are high, fine, I'm okay to pay a very low fixed coupon, right? So when rates are low, then if I am paying a fixed coupon which is high, it is call. I will call the structure. Then rates are high, pay fixed coupon which is technically low, so I will not call the structure. But the question is, why when rates are high I won't call the structure? This is another reason that actually when rates are high you can finance or you can get funding which is normally for a bank it is SOFR plus some spread. This is the bank funding. Since I can get this, probably I won't call the structure, but this is a separate topic. I don't want to deal into this. So for now, rates are high, pay fixed coupon which is low, don't call. Rates are low, pay fixed coupon which is high, I will call the structure. Okay, then we discussed volatility. Next thing, we come to fixed rates and floating rates. In this swap, you are paying a fixed rate and you can also enter into a swap which is paying a floating rate, or you can transfer your liability from fixed to floating. How? By entering into a swap which pays fixed and receive floating. Now, the question is, what if I enter into a swaption which is paying fixed? So swaption here at 2 years, and this will decide whether I enter into a swap or not. Because now why I am entering into a swaption, I can either pay fixed in the swaption or I can enter a swaption where I am receiving fixed here at 2 year. So this is the point of decision making at 2 years. What if, let's say, here I enter into a receiver swaption at 2 years, maybe at some strike X. I don't know what is the strike X, but maybe at some strike X. So I will get the entire amount of X, I mean the fixed rate for these years. Isn't the same as cancelling the swap at the end of 2 years? Because I was supposed to pay this for 2 years, and now instead of paying this, I receive this exact rate, and I will exercise that option, right? Because I'm paying it here and receiving it here. This strike part I still not have mentioned, but anyway, for now, assume that you solve for the strike. So, if I think of the swap as made up of I am paying fixed, let's say on the other side I am receiving floating, and I have this option X. This option should be technically minus because I have this free option. Since I have this free option, I can technically pay a higher rate than a normal 5 year swap. Because at the end of 2 years, I can exercise this option so as to cancel all these flows. And when I exercise this option, all the flows get cancelled because all these flows which were getting paid get cancelled by this receiver swaption. So the other counterparty who was, let's say, paying floating or whatever is actually selling me receiver swaption. So you have the floating rate, you have the fixed rate, you have the swaptions. What we are selling is receivers, and it's a swaption or it's an option, so you have volatility, which is rate volatility, which is involved. Why it defines callability? So coming to the last part, why this callability? If this is my swap at 2 years, what I will try to do is I will ask the investor who is purchasing this callable note or swap to sell me this option. How? He will sell me this option by having just this condition. If it's a callable, it is given that he is selling me this receiver swaption and I am buying this. That's why I am able to pay a higher coupon. So, to solve for this coupon, if I know, let's say, if it was a simple interest rate swap, not even with a contingent condition or equity or anything, let's say the interest rate was 4% in a normal IRS 5 year swap. This is what I know, right? Okay. Now, if I change this rate to 4.5%, let's say I sold it for a non-callable IRS 5 year swap, which pays based on equity contingent. The rate is higher because it is contingent on equity. This is the second thing. Thirdly, What I will try to do is, I don't know the rate, but I know that I have to at max pay, let's say 4.5%. So I will check with the receiver of strike 4.5% strike. Is it the answer? No, this is not technically the answer. I will solve the option value for this 4.5% strike, subtract the leg. I will calculate the PV of my fixed leg, subtract the receiver swaption, and try to equate it to the PV of float leg, or whatever the other side is. It can be anything. So this receiver swaption thing, whenever this happens, how does it work? Initially this won't equate to this, right? So then I will change the rate to 4.6, 4.7, 4.8. So as you can see, this will be a iterative process, because whenever I am changing the rate up, I have to again value the receiver swaption, use this PV of fixed leg minus your swaption value should be equal to PV of floating leg, and slowly it will converge. It will converge to some rate, but it is not exactly that 4.5%. If I am using, it will directly converge to the receiver swaption, and it will exactly equal to the floating leg, right? So that's why it's an iterative process. But that's how the issuer callability is priced for a single option. Generally, if somebody is quoting me a issuer callable, I will just price the receiver at that strike and get the exact value out of it. And this I can do in Bloomberg also. So that's the issuer callability part. Hope this makes sense. And yeah, in some time I will try to make more videos of similar or other topics.